exercise says, write the equation of an exponential growth function with a y-intercept of 0, 5 that has a horizontal asymptote at y equals 2. Sketch the graph of your function. Okay, so there are a few important parts here. It's exponential. It's also a growth function. We've got a y-intercept of 0, 5, and the horizontal asymptote at y equals 2. Okay, so the general format for our exponential functions that we'll deal with will be f of x equals a times b to the x, that's our variable, plus some k. And this kind of helps us find where our asymptote is. So the easiest thing to do first is come up with b, because we know it's an exponential, we know it's a growth function, so it's got to be, so b must be greater than 1. Okay, so let's write it as g of x equals a times, and I'm just going to choose anything greater than 1. I'm just going to choose 1.2 to the x plus k. We don't know what k or k are yet. The next thing you want to do is try to find out what k is based on our asymptote. Okay, this is kind of like a vertical shift. So we know that for the base function, when k equals 0, the asymptote is at y equals 0. Now it's moved up 2 spaces. So all we have to do is just make k 2. So we get g of x equals a times 1.2 to the x plus 2. All right, we just got our 2. That's going to tell us exactly where our asymptote is. And then the last component, we just have to find a. So if I plug in x equals 0, let's see what happens. G of 0 equals a times 1.2 to the 0 plus 2. Anything to the 0 power is 1. So this just becomes a plus 2. And I know that g of 0 is 5. So what does a have to be in order for g of 0 to be 5? Well, it must be 3. So our final equation is g of x equals 3 times 1.2 to the x plus 2. I'll have to do a slight sketch of my function. I know there's an asymptote at y equals 2, and then it's growing and it goes through 0, 5. So it approaches that asymptote but never touches it, and it's an exponential growth function. So that's a pretty good sketch. Let's try another one. Write the equation of an exponential decay function that passes through 0, -2, and has a horizontal asymptote at y equals -4. Okay, so let's start again with exponential decay function. So b is going to be less than 1. So I know that it's going to be g of x equals a times, well, I can choose anything less than 1.8 to the x plus k. Now we go to our k, and that is based on our asymptote right here at -4. So it's g of x equals a times 0.8 to the x minus 4. And then I have to figure out what do I need in order to get my y-intercept to be 0, 2. I know that if I plug in 0 for x here, I get -2 equals a minus 4. So a must be positive 2. So my final function is going to be g of x equals 2, 0.8 to the x minus 4. And then if I wanted to sketch it, we've got an asymptote at y equals -4. And I know that it goes through 0, -2, and then it's decreasing and it approaches that asymptote right there. As I go from left to right, it's decreasing.